Do you ever think to yourself, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing with my life?
Well, we don't either, but we've learned some things along the way that have gotten us a little bit closer to being functioning adults.
Or at least we've learned to fake it well enough.
Welcome to Insert Verb Here, your friendly neighborhood advice podcast by two girls who are just as clueless as you are.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Haley. And we are Verb.
All right. Can't do it for me anymore.
Wow, what a great start.
Hello, this is my new album coming out February 31st,
2058.
2058. Look forward to it.
What's the
Be
title?
there or be
What's
square.
the title of your new album?
Never gonna happen.
I wanted to be a pop star so bad. Like, all the mirrors in my house were hidden cameras. And so I would, like, perform to the mirrors, and I would do, like, transitions to different rooms, like, because I was convinced that, like, there were hidden cameras in my mirrors, and it was my music video.
That's cute.
And I did it all the time.
I was convinced that there were secret cameras everywhere, like in my bear's eyeballs and stuff, but because, like, it was like a Truman Show kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not because, like, I was a pop star, going to be a pop star, but because I was, like, a social experiment that everyone was watching, and that people who were like, oh, what's your name? Jordan? Oh, it's nice to meet you. And in the back of my head, I'm like, you know who I am. You've been watching my whole life. Narcissism? Probably.
I used to think that our pets were robots that my parents put in there to make sure we were behaving.
Oh, that's funny.
And I used to think, like, because, you know, like, when you take pictures of, like, animals' eyeballs and they, like, reflect in that weird way, I was like, it's a camera. I was like, they're like, my parents got these animals, they're actually robots, and they're just doing it to make sure that we're, like, behaving and, like, not, like, doing anything bad or anything.
That's funny.
So I used to be convinced that, like, our dogs were spies and they were just robots.
Maybe they still are.
Maybe.
Did you hear about, like, back, I'm probably getting all these facts wrong, but back in the day and during some war, I'm pretty sure they used pigeons as spies. Like, they equipped them as a camera.
I think that was a thing. That sounds like I've heard that before.
Mushu.
So, speaking of pop stars,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when you're little, like, everyone, like, knows exactly what they want to be, but then most people don't actually, like, become when they get older.
Yeah.
So, like, is what you're doing now what you wanted to do when you were growing up?
Yes and no, because when I was little, I wanted to be an actress. And then in high school, I wanted to be a nurse. So in that aspect, no. But I went to nursing school for a little bit, and then I dropped out to do theater and to do acting. So I'm still in that field, so I consider it a success. Mm-hmm. I'm not exactly doing acting right now, but that doesn't mean I can't in the future. Mm-hmm. But I'm still doing something creative that was in my field that I trained for, and it's something I love. So technically no, but I'm really happy with where I'm at, and just kind of like, you have to go, to me at least, I kind of go, like, with the wave of life. Mm-hmm. I'm very much like, oh, this is the plan, but if things change, and you just kind of have to go with it, because you never know where it will take you. Mm-hmm. But I do know some people who are like, this is my plan. I cannot get off of this path, because if I get off of this path, my whole life will be derailed. I've wanted to be a physicist since I was 3, and that's everything I've worked for. I don't know anything else past that. So I do know some people like that, but that's not how I am. So technically, no, I'm not where I plan to be, or what I've always wanted to do, but I'm very happy with where I am. Mm-hmm. And because life is pretty fluid, at least in my world it is, that doesn't mean I can't do things later, you know?
I feel like, because I knew I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was, like, 3 years old.
God, that'd be so cool.
Like, and then I wanted to be a marine biologist till I was, like, 15. Mm-hmm. So it was, like, a solid, like, 12 years that I was like, this is what I'm going to be when I grow up. This is what I want to do. And then once I started actually, like, you know, you're in high school and they're like, okay, like, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? I was like, well, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Because I'm a very, like, squeamish, queasy person. And so
I wasn't until I stopped nursing school.
Really?
Until, like, 3 years after I stopped going to nursing school. Now, Catherine, my friend Catherine, we were messaging each other. And she was like, oh, I was cleaning dishes and I dropped something in the disposal. The disposal wasn't on, but it sliced her finger. And I, like, was gagging for, like, about 5 minutes. I couldn't deal with it. But back in the day, when I was in nursing school, I was like, oh, cool. That sucks. Bummer.
Yeah.
Move on. But now I was like, oh, my God. Oh, are you okay? Oh, my God. Are you okay? Oh, my God. I can't even look. And she's like, no, I have a Band-Aid on it. I'm like, oh, my God.
So when you realize, okay, if I want to do this, I'm going to have to go to, like, obviously it's like marine biology school, but we have to take veterinary courses where we have to do dissections and, like, hands-on things with animals and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm not comfortable doing that. And then also, because dolphins are my favorite animal. And so I wanted to specialize in dolphins. But you have to, like, you can't just go in specializing at first. You have to do, like, 10, 15 years of just general. Oh. And then you can specialize.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then I went to do theater in college, did that first semester, and I was like, not for me.
How did your family respond when you told them you wanted to switch majors?
They were actually really understanding.
Oh, yeah?
That's
good.
I knew I wanted to stop doing it, like, a month before I actually told them. But I was so afraid of what they would think that I was like, or like them getting upset that I would be, like, wasting all this money going towards this major when I'm wanting to switch anyways. And so I thought they're going to be way more upset than they were. But then when I called my mom and I told her, and she was, like, really understanding.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. So I did theater. Then I was like, I'm going to do interior design. Didn't even go to school for it. I didn't even get to, like, switch my major to that. Because I came back and I was like, I'm just going to do my basics for a semester and then I'll do it. Didn't do that. Then I went into media production and I did that for a semester. And then during that, I took a graphic design course, realized that I loved it. That was the semester that I dropped out of college. And then I just, for the last year and a half, 2 years, I've just been
growing in that.
Passionate in that. Yeah. Well, and I just started teaching myself, practicing, taking jobs. And then now I'm literally starting my own business for this. Yeah. Like, after a year and a half.
You had no interest in that?
No interest before. Not at all.
That's funny.
So, yeah, like, I'm nowhere near where I thought I would be.
Yeah.
At this point.
The only thing that has changed with me is I now know I cannot be an astronaut. That's it. There was just a little part of me that has always, always, always wanted to be an astronaut. And then it's just never left. It's never, like, it will grow a little bit and then it will go down a little bit. But it's always, like, in the same kind of
flux.
Yeah. It's never gotten, like when we live in Houston. And so, like, if I go to NASA, then I'll leave for the day in the next 3 days or so. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be an astronaut. It's so bad. This is so cool. And then it will kind of go down. But it's still always there. Yeah.
I mean, you are wearing a NASA shirt right now.
I am wearing a NASA shirt. Target, baby.
We love Target.
That's the only, like, I guess, childhood dream that didn't come to fruition for me. Oh, that and I did gymnastics growing up, and I wanted to be an Olympic gold medalist by the time 2020 came. And it's 2020, and I'm nowhere. No. I might be closer to being an astronaut than an Olympic gold medalist.
That's funny, because I was in cheer for a really long time. And I think at one point I was like, because obviously everyone wants to go to the Olympics at some point. They're like, I'm going to go to the Olympics. I wanted to be
It's in my 5th grade yearbook as my goal. Like,
it's to go to the Olympics.
It's down in history with my name, Jordan Merritt, by 2020, an Olympic gold medalist. Like, it's written down for everyone to see that I did not achieve this.
Yeah, because I guess I always wanted to be a pop star. And then kind of when I was like 9, 10, 11-ish, I was like, I'm going to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. I hate football, but I would watch their show and I was like, I want to do that. That's what I'm going to do. And so for a long time, I wanted to do that. And then I grew out of it and I just enjoyed theater way more. Quit cheer, just focus on theater in high school. Like, you understand. Or an Olympic figure skater. So, you know.
Throwback.
Speaking
of what you wanted to do with your life, since we both kind of changed, you mainly kind of changed. We got a question from Instagram asking, how are we confident in our choices and handling feedback? So
good and bad feedback.
Yeah, good and bad feedback. So I think keeping with the theme of like doing what you want to do, when you told your parents and you said they handled it really well.
Yeah.
So if they handled it bad, how do you think you would have handled that kind of feedback?
I would have cried.
That's how I was, because when I went to nursing school, I did it for 2 years, like all the prereqs and stuff. And then I went on a theater trip and I came back and I was like, no, actually, this is what I want to do. And I told my parents and they were apprehensive, which makes sense because nursing school is a steady job.
Yeah.
Or nursing is a steady job. People are always going to need nurses,
yes.
like especially right now with COVID and the pandemic.
Everything.
Yeah, like that is a secure job. Theater is not happening right now, you know? So they were right in feeling like that, but I was so brokenhearted that I didn't feel like they fully supported me, and they just wanted what was best for me, you know?
Yeah.
But in my heart, I was like, this is what's best for me. I can always go back to nursing school. So getting like that kind of response kind of broke my heart, but I was like, I have to do what I have to do. And actually I learned starting theater in college and stuff. My theater professor would always say strong wrongs, make strong wrongs instead of weak rights.
That's good.
And that has always stuck with me. And she was talking about it for like choices on stage, but I think it applies to life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like just make a choice. And if you feel like it's right and you are passionate about it, even if it turns out being wrong, like you tried, you know, rather than like being, you know, I guess it's like this, because then you're not really making an impact, I guess. So I'm still trying to learn and get better at that, but make strong wrongs has always been
ingrained.
Yeah. And like obviously like not, my contact just flipped. Not like morally wrong things.
I get what you're saying, because like for me, I question everything, and like a big part of me is, because I said it before, I don't like doing things unless I know that I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I also don't like doing things in my career unless I know it's going to go somewhere. I don't like, because sometimes I'm like, I want to become an artist. I want to sell my illustrations and things like that. But then I freak out because I'm like, I don't want to choose a career that I'm going to change, that will go nowhere. Yeah. And so like, that's my biggest thing is like, I have trouble choosing. Like, it's sometimes really hard for me to choose what I want to do and make those strong, wrong,
confident
choices. Because I'm like, if it's not going to go anywhere, I don't want to have to backtrack. You know, I want to know what I'm going to do for the next 30 years of my life and go down that path.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I'm really like...
Because we're kind of the opposite.
It's very funny considering how often I changed majors that I like...
Well, they say that... I think they say the average person changes majors 7 times.
No, that's comforting. That's very comforting. Yeah, because I changed one... I'm going to go 3.5. Because 3 and then the intention of one other that just didn't happen.
Yeah, I want to know if when the research that says people change their majors 7 times on average, is it officially
7
or changing? Yeah, or just like them talking to their friends like, oh, I think I want to do this. Oh no, I think I want to do this.
Yeah,
because that's
a lot of time to change majors. Like that's higher than I expected.
But if you are in college or about to go to college and y'all are freaking out over what to do with your life, you can always change it.
Yeah. Like, don't feel like you're stuck.
No.
Like, because people...
And I think a big thing with being confident in your choices is doing what's right for you. Yes. Like, obviously, Haley and I are both, like, people pleasers. We want people's opinions. We want to know, like, is this a good choice? But at the end of the day, you have to do what's right for you and what's good with your heart, because you have to live with your decision. Yeah,
absolutely. And, like... And it's not even just with, like, college. It's with anything.
Anything, yeah.
Like, I know people... When Zane and I moved in together, we moved in together before we were married. We pretty much... We got engaged, like, the week after we moved in together. And when we did it, there were some people who were very upset about it. That, like, we were living together before...
Oh, yeah?
We got married. But it was like, this is the right choice for us. This is the right decision for us and our relationship at this time. We know... that this is the best decision right now. Yeah. And so it's just...
Take people's opinion into consideration.
But you know what's going to make you the happiest. You know what's best for you.
Because at the end of the day, at least you made a choice.
You made a choice.
And if it's a strong wrong, whatever. It's a strong wrong. Yeah. You can always change it.
And that's the thing, you just never...
If it didn't work, you guys moving in together, if it didn't work out, y'all could have had your own apartments for a little bit. And then move in when it was ready for y'all, whether that was married or not.
Like, looking back on it now, that was probably the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. Honestly, we don't regret it at all. Not even, like, because I regret everything. Not even just, like, decisions, just, like, even, like, little things. Like, I'll be like, oh, I regret saying that.
Yeah.
I regret everything. That's the one thing I'm like, that was the best thing I ever did in my entire life.
That's awesome.
It was the best and smartest decision. And the absolute right time for our relationship. It was just, like, perfect.
Oh, that's good.
And that's the thing, you just never know.
Yeah.
You never know how it's going to end up.
And most decisions... Besides, like, the extreme ones.
Yeah.
Most decisions are reversible.
Yeah.
Some aren't,
but, like, you can change majors again. If you've changed majors and you're like, I absolutely hate this, you can change again. You can...
If you move into an apartment and you're like, actually, this wasn't for me. This was the wrong choice.
Yeah, because that was the right decision for them.
I think part of making confident choices are not being afraid to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. You can't be afraid to make a mistake because that might stop you from making that confident choice.
Yeah, which is easier said than done.
Yes, 100%.
I definitely struggle with that a lot.
We're
like
humans.
I said,
we're gonna make mistakes.
Human. We're gonna make mistakes, even if we don't want to. Like,
yes.
I have a huge fear of failure, and, like, I don't want to make mistakes. It's something that as I get older, I'm trying to force myself to come to terms with, because I'm like, it's just
because
life.
Once you accept that, I feel like it's easier to live life because you're forgiving of yourself.
Yeah.
If you're holding your standard up to, I have to be perfect, I cannot make a mistake, you are not as likely to enjoy life to the fullest extent because you're always self-examining. You're always in your head. You're always like, was this okay? Did that look good?
Yeah.
Did I come across the right way? Like, you're always going to be examining every little thing when you accept that you're going to make mistakes, you'll be like, fuck it. Whoopsie doopsies.
Yeah.
Move on. Like, I'll apologize, like, if needed. Like, I'll, like, I can fix these situations. But this was a choice that I made. My bad.
Yeah.
Move on. Because I promise you, in most situations, you're going to beat yourself up more than anyone else.
Yes. That's, everyone always says, you are your own worst critic.
Yeah.
And 100%. It's so true.
And then other people don't care.
Or don't care.
My advice for confident choices and handling feedback. Oh, confident choices. Don't be afraid to make strong wrongs and make mistakes.
Yeah.
For handling feedback, again, you just have to do what's right for you. I think it's always good to get other people's advice and opinions because I think it helps your mind grow because you get to see different ways you may not have thought of something.
Yeah.
But don't let it... If someone's telling you something and it makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to take it to heart.
Trust your gut.
Yeah, my thing is when people give me advice over something and I don't take it, I start second guessing, going, am I a terrible person because I didn't take their advice? Are they going to judge me because I didn't take their advice? Like, even with stuff like with starting this podcast, we had a bunch of different meetings and we didn't take every single advice that was given to us because it didn't feel right for us. At first, I was like, are they going to be mad that we didn't take what they told us to do? Are they going to be offended? But anyway, so handling feedback, I think, you just have to do what's right for you. And if someone's negative in the feedback, don't even listen.
Yeah.
Because
do not invite those negative emotions into your life. No,
that's going to weigh on your heart. It's going to weigh on your head. You're going to take that in and I feel like you won't, me personally, I wouldn't be able to let it go.
Yeah.
And if someone's negative, you don't need that in your life.
No, not at all.
Let it walk out the door. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Next.
Yeah, so that's Jordan's views on...
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and then, like, just like I said earlier, just trust your gut. Like, trust what... Because sometimes we get so in our heads about things that we overthink things and we overanalyze and, like, we end up not making a choice because of that. So... go with your gut instinct. Try not to overthink it. I'm an overthinker. I won't say do it because I don't even always listen to my own advice because it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
But just...
and it gets obsessive.
Yeah. Just try your best to not overthink it. Trust your gut.
Maybe take some time out.
Yeah.
Okay, Haley. So we have another question from Instagram. And I think this is a very important one.
Okay.
What motivated you, and if you sent in this question, sorry we didn't write your name down, but we will be better about this. What motivated you to want to improve your mental health and ask for help?
Ooh,
asking for help, I think,
hard.
is even the bigger question of it all. So
yeah.
what motivated you to want to improve your mental health, and then the big one, what made you ask for help / have you asked for help?
Yeah. So I guess for me, I'm gonna say it again, I'm a 4.
And for those who don't know what that is,
it's the Enneagram. I'm an Enneagram 4. And so the thing that we deal with the most is envy. All the types have kind of something that, like, that's their vice. Like, 8s are anger.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, 8s are anger, and there's some that deal with pride. But for 4s, it's envy and being envious of what other people have. Like, and wishing that we had those same opportunities. So for me, I wanted to ask, I was so sad and I was so envious of all my friends who were happy that I was like, I want to get better so I can be like them and have what they have, because I was miserable all the time and I just wanted what they had. And so I was like, I want to get better. And it really wasn't a asking for help, because I would not have gotten better if Zane and I were not together. If we were not dating, I wouldn't. Well, I was
she's getting choked up since she can't see us.
I was going to say something, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't say this on the podcast. I was going to say, if Zane wasn't in my life when he was, I don't think I would be alive today. Like, legitimately. Yeah, like, he saved my life 100%. I know. Aww. Your face is making me more sad than thinking about it. It was kind of just, I was just so sad. And it was more of like just a natural progression with Zane, where I would have these bad days and feel these negative emotions, and like dealing with that. He would just talk me through the situation, and we would get to a place, like, every conversation we had when I was having these really bad days and negative, terrible emotions, he would get me to a place that would, like, every single conversation it was like therapy, essentially, for me. And so just through that, I just naturally grew through that.
Oh, that's good.
And then the biggest change came when I moved out of my parents' house and I moved in with him. Just the move was such a switch on my mental health, and I was already so much happier, 1,000,000 times happier. Like, my depression went from, like, the second worst in my entire life to, like, almost gone in just moving. I was like,
that's awesome.
And so it was just kind of a natural. I never really asked for help. He just always did.
I have a hard time, like, being open and vulnerable with my emotions. So, and that carries into my relationships. And it's something that I'm aware of and I'm trying to work on. And I know we're very different. I'm very closed and you're very open. So when you first initially brought up these feelings to Zane, like, were you nervous to talk to him, or were you were excited to talk to him, or, like, because that's a form of asking for help, is bringing it up and bringing it to light.
Yeah, but that's another, like, 4th thing, is that we feel emotions so intensely. We feel the widest range of emotions and so intensely. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't hide it from him. And especially, like, he's my best friend, I wanted to tell him everything. So if I was sad, I wanted to share that with him. I didn't want to hide anything from him. I never was like, oh, I need to open up about this. This is something I need to tell him about. Sometimes I would get in my head about certain things. Like, for the most part, like, I would just tell him everything and anything and everything, and how I was feeling. If I was sad, I would be openly sad, angry, happy, whatever it is. Like, I've never felt I had to, like, open up to him, because I feel I just always was with him.
That's good.
So I never struggled with that, but I know a lot of people do. But I'm just such an open book with everyone. Like, I'll tell anyone anything. It's about myself, obviously.
Yeah. I think what motivated me to improve my mental health, it actually took me years. I think I started dealing with depression when I was 7. And for a long, 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 long time, I was like, I'm not depressed. I didn't want to own it, because then that meant I had to fix it. And that meant something was wrong with me. Not that something's wrong with you, you have depression, but in my mind, when I was a teenager, like, that's what I thought. So for maybe about the first 7 years, maybe until I was about, maybe first 7 to 10 years, I denied I had depression, because I didn't I didn't want to deal with what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
But by not owning it, it was making it so much worse.
Yeah.
But I think becoming aware, it took a couple years to own it just to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then it took a couple years to be open enough to tell people. Because, like, it started, like, as a joke. Like, oh, I'm so depressed. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And then I'd be like, wait, no. And then there was this one instance that happened that was really low in my life. And that moment, I knew I had to turn my life around. And just do everything that was in my power to not stay where I was at mentally, not physically, but mentally. And it was pretty much from that point forward, I was actively working on it. And that was when I was like 23. So I went from 7 to 23 with all these mental health issues, never asking for help because I didn't want to be seen as weak. I didn't want to open myself up to people thinking I was less than, people thinking there was something wrong with me and treating me differently. All this like stuff that people stigmatize about depression and anxiety and other mental health issues. So until I was about 23, I just tried to keep it a secret to myself. I never talked to my family about it. And then that was when I was like, I have to change myself. I have to do something about this because this is no way to live. And there were still really terrible down times and really high ups, but I allowed myself to feel it. And I allowed myself to experience the downs and experience the ups, because for a long time I was afraid of the ups because I knew that meant a down would come. And so for a long, long time, I just let myself sit in the downs because that was comfortable. And I guess like self-sabotage in a way. But then I really started allowing myself to do the ups and just be mindful of it. I never really came out and asked for help. And like I said, it's still something I struggle with, being open, being vulnerable. But when I went to college for my performing arts school, I think they're the number one performing arts school in England to work on mental health. And they really pushed, like, if you are not feeling okay, if they had free counseling for anyone on campus. Like, there were certain teachers that were qualified to help you, and they would wear badges saying it's okay not to be okay. So if you ever had anything wrong, you could go to them and talk to them. And they like really emphasized mental health at school.
That's awesome, because most places amazing. Don't. Like, most people are very like...
It was amazing. Another saying that really helped with my mental health was one of my teachers said, lean into the discomfort. Ooh. There's no growth and change without discomfort.
That's very true.
That does not mean to always live in
discomfort.
In the worst case scenario. But you have to, like in my case, I had to deal with my depression. I had to actually lean into it, face it head on, and deal with the discomfort of what that meant. So I think going there really helped me learn to own it, accept it, and be more willing to work on it. And then, just getting older, I think learning what triggers you is a big one. If you need to take yourself out of situations if you need to, learning how you deal with things, learning how to cope with things. So it's just a whole learning curve. But yeah, that's pretty much what helped me want to improve my mental health. But yeah, so I still struggle with asking for help, even in relationships. That is my biggest thing. I have such a hard time opening up because I still view it as weakness, even though it's not. Yeah. But in my head, it's just something I need to get over that. It's not weakness telling people your story and asking for help. So it's something I still need to work on, but I'm much more willing and open to it now than I used to be.
That's good. That's really good that you're willing to
actively. I think the biggest thing is just you have to be actively thinking of it. And it's a journey. I know a lot of people hate the roller coaster expression, but it is a freaking roller coaster. It really is. Like that. That's why it is like the stereotypical expression, because it's so true. Yeah, so it's okay. So I guess what we talked about today, to wrap everything up, It's okay not to do what childhood you set out on.
Yeah.
It's okay to change. People grow as people. And I think that's really important to know that when you grow, you're going to change your mind.
Yeah.
And that is okay. And it's good.
Yeah. And it's normal.
It's normal. It's good to change your mind. You need to grow and see different things. So if little you wanted to be a marine biologist and now you're doing graphic design, great. It means you went on a journey in life and you learned.
Yep.
And me, who wanted to be an actress, and I'm still in that field, great.
Yeah.
I still learned. That doesn't mean anything.
No.
We learned that life's a journey.
Life's a journey. Mental health is a journey.
Mental health is a journey.
Do what's best for you.
Do what's best for you. Be confident in your choices. Strong wrongs.
Yep.
Because you can always reverse them.
Absolutely.
For the most part.
And sit in discomfort.
Sit in discomfort. And if someone gives you feedback, you don't have to take it.
Nope.
And if it's negative feedback, don't even listen to it.
Well,
negative, like ill-intentioned feedback.
Yes.
Constructive.
Yeah, sometimes we see constructive criticism as negative when it's not.
No, yeah.
But that's just.
Yeah, take constructive feedback. Listen to it.
Doesn't
mean you have to take it.
Yes.
Be open to it.
Yeah.
Because again, that's a form of discomfort that you could lean into.
Yep. Absolutely.
Make sure to check us out on social media at GotVerb or at our website, verbofficial.com. And send us your questions at askivhpod@gmail.com.
We post new podcast episodes every Monday, so subscribe to Insert Verb here so you can insert verb into your daily routine.